to our final tutorial on creating dynamic landing page. And you by now is quite familiar with what you're seeing on your screen, because that is the landing page that we have been working on for the past 2 days, or two tutorials that we covered. Now you have seen where I have done a little bit of tweaking to what you're seeing. I have good afternoon, and in here, which is my content editable area, I have typed in, well, good afternoon website design class. And for my focus area, or focus for today, editable section right here, I've gone ahead and I've typed in JavaScript code for dynamic landing page. And I have presenters. However, I'm the only person presenting anyway today, so I will have typed in my name below. Well, so far we have looked at HTML, we have looked at CSS, and we did look at the external CSS, and you know that CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. And today we will be zooming on the JavaScript coding that complements, that come together with both CSS and HTML to create this landing page. Now let's step into the coding. So this, what you're seeing right here, is the coding for the landing page, JavaScript coding for the landing page. It might seem like a whole lot, but I am going to go through it in stages just for you to become familiar with it. Now, you would have known that once you see these two backslash right here, simply mean what comes after is a comment, and a comment does not affect the coding. All right, the comment does help you, the user, to know what is being done at what particular point. All right, so for the first section there is our DOM elements, and you will be familiar with the time, the greeting, the name, and the focus, because we have been using those in our HTML, as you're seeing right here. We have our greetings, we have our name, we have our focus, we have time. So what you're seeing in JavaScript now is making reference to all of those inside your HTML as well. So once you're seeing your time, your greeting, your name, and your focus, there is a communication going back to all of them. What will be covered in this as well is what we call functions in JavaScript. We look at some function in JavaScript, but just to take it a stage at a time, let's look at our DOM elements, and we are saying const, and we're saying for our constant we have what, time, and we are saying time is equal to document dot get element by ID, and what we are getting right here is the time. We're getting the time right here, and here we have greetings, greeting equal same document dot, and we're getting the greeting right here as well. And here we have the name, and we're getting the name, and we have our focus, and we're getting the focus. And I'm just going to stress that when you type this code, ensure you do not overlook or take for granted that you can leave out the full stop, the quotation, or so on. You can't. You need to put them in. And if you realize, let me bring it out some more. If you realize that we start out with our const, and at the end of each line we have a comma right here, next we have a comma right here, next we have a comma right here, and the final one we have our semicolon, because we are using the one const to represent for time, greetings, name, and focus. So we use the comma to break it, the comma, and the semicolon to end all of it. So quote unquote, all of this, it can actually be in one line going all the way across, but we use our comma to separate them. All right. So that is it for our DOM elements, and that is how it is done in JavaScript when making reference to what is already in our HTML, or bring that level of combination. All right. And you are familiar with your document .get by ID already, because we have been doing or using those from before. All right, next we have our the options section, and of course we're saying cons again. Are going to show AM and PM, and remember we are dealing with time, and the time is going to be AM at one point, is going to be PM at one point. So we're saying for our cons, show AM PM. We're making it to be true, because we will be showing the time in terms of AM and PM. All right. Next section we have our show time, and I did mention functions before. I did mention functions before. Now you realize that our first function here is our time function, our show time function to be exact. Show time function. All right. So you will need to have the keyword function, then the name of the function, which is show time, and our open and close bracket right here. Then we have our open curly bracket for our show time function. I'm going to make this clear again. When I click on this one right here, because I already saved this file, you realize it shows the line that it starts right here and will finish all the way here. All right. So everything inside of here, everything that is inside of this part is a part of our showtime function. So when we call our showtime function, all of this will be in communication to what goes on in the showing of the time. All right. So the first line in our showtime function, we're going to say let today, and we're going to let today equal to the new date. So whatever date it is, it will change. All right. And we have our open or close here again. And please note, similar to the cons at the top, we separate with a comma. And once you're talking about today and the date and so on, you're going to talk about the time in terms of hours, minutes, and second. So we are saying hour equal to today, the same today right here, dot get hours. So we need to get the hour or the hours for that particular day. Good. We're gonna get it in terms of minute. So you're gonna say min representing for minute equal today dot get minutes, and that's how it's done. And second equal today dot get seconds, and you see here that we finish off that line. We finish off with our semicolon. So before we separate with commas, commas, comma, and then we have our semicolon to end that let today equal new date. All right. Now, as it relates to the date, we also have to set, and remember this is a comment again, just telling you what's going on right here. We're setting, we are setting the time. Yes, so definitely we are setting or AM or PM. So we're saying const AM equal hour, and we're saying if the hour is greater than or equal to 12, question sign, we have here in quotation, we have PM. If not, it's going to be what? AM. All right. So we are saying that once the hour is greater than, or let's do let's start all over again. This then over again. So we have const right here. and I say AM PM equal to the hour, and if the hour is greater than or equal to 12, question sign, because we're asking is the hour greater than or equal to 12 for it to be PM, or should it be AM? All right. So we're gonna run this check on the hour to determine if it is AM or if it is PM. Next, we have the next comment signifying our 12-hour format, and we're going to say hour is equal to hour, and we have or you use to this sign as your percentage sign, and we're saying have it been 12, or we follow through, or we follow. So as you realize, that is how we go about setting up our 12-hour format. This line here basically construct our 12-hour format. All right, following below where you have our output time comment, we're simply saying time dot inner HTML equal, and please note everything here is crucial, and we have our dollar sign, our open and closing bracket hour, we have our span, our colon, and we carry on to have our add zero, and we will look at that function shortly. We have our add zero by the minute, and we have the span for it as well. To close back the span, and note, please take note of this colon in between the open and close span, and of course we have our add zero, and inside of our add zero we would have second, add 0 second. We could basically bring this all the way up. Let me see, bring it up so you can see clearly what I'm talking about. Could actually bring this all the way up. All right, good. So I have second right here inside of my add zero, and I close with my curly bracket right here, and then I move on to my show AM PM question sign. I have AM PM, and I'm finishing off that line right here. So if you pay close attention, you will see where we did come back to use our show time AM PM, like what I was pointed out earlier up here. Show time AM PM we end up using back here. So you see the level of communication that is going on. And following through, we have our set timeout, and we are setting our timeout to show time at 1000. All right, and that would take care of our show time function overall. So all of this take in consideration the show time, and in other words the time being displayed. So you have to pay attention to each line carefully. Pay attention to each line carefully, and don't overlook any symbol that you see there. All right, and just below that we have our add zeros. I have our add zero function, and we're using the letter n right here to hold it right there, and we return our parset int, and we have our inside of that we have our n, bring the n right here, comma to 10, and we're saying less than 10, and we follow through with our question sign. And please note this carefully, because all of these right here are crucial for the time to appear and show like you would have viewed it on the landing page at the initial stage. All right, and we will close the function right there for our add zero. Like I mentioned, this basically carry several functions, and that is just the first function that we look at. And next, on our next main function is our set background and greeting, because note carefully that our landing page, the background will change based on the time of the day. So it is the time that is going to help to determine what background image will be displayed. All right. So our function set bg greet. So set bg greet, and instead that we're saying again, let today equal new date, and you should be familiar with this by now. And we have our hour, and we're gonna get our hour in terms of today dot get hour, and we're going to say if, note carefully now. So after we get the hour, we're going to say if the hour is less than 12, of course it have to be related to the morning. All right. So therefore, if less than 12, which is the morning, we're going to say document dot body dot style dot background image. So right here is where we are referring to the image or a picture that suggests it's the morning. That's why I'm saying that based on the time of the day, the image will change by itself automatically, dynamically. All right. So here I have URL and I have image slash morning dot the picture extension. And please note, like I explained before, here I have image slash morning, simply saying that the name of the picture is morning and it is stored in a folder called img. All right. So this line is basically outputting the picture if it is morning. It's basically displaying the picture if it is the hour, if the hour is less than 12. And also the greeting dot text content equal good morning. So simple again is saying that if the hour is less than 12, not only will it display a picture depicting morning, it will also depict a greeting to say good morning. Because most of the time when I do this recording, it's in the afternoon. That's why you mostly see good afternoon, and you would also see a picture depicting the afternoon. All right. So we're going to say else if hour is less than 18, it is afternoon. All right. So once now is less than 12, we're going to refer to it as morning. If it's less than 18, it's our realize we put it past 12 now to say it is afternoon. And if it's so, and please note I use comment to clearly identify what era I am on. So else if the hour is less than 18, we're simply saying document dot body type dot background image equal, and you use this point right here, and I save my image here as background dot jpg, and of course my greeting line to say good afternoon. Else, so if it is not morning, if it's not afternoon, else it is what? Else it is evening, and I'm simply saying document dot body dot style dot pf dot body dot background image equal on the URL, and we're saying that our images, our picture this time is named night, and it is stored inside of the folder called image. And of course, we must have a greeting line to say what? Good evening. And we're also saying the document dot body style color is equal to white. So we're simply saying that we want the color to be in white. All right, the body color to be in white. All right. So that is it for our background and greeting. All right. So we basically combine our background and greeting here into one. All right. So moving on to the name section of it. We're saying our function here is called get name, and we're saying if local storage dot get item name, or say if it's equal to null, what we're going to do dot name dot content is equal to enter your name. So it's simply stating that we are allowing you to basically enter your name, like you see on the screen where I did initially where I enter my name and so on. Else, else, else is saying name dot text content equal to local storage dot get item, and of course again we put our name here inside a quotation inside this bracket, and we close it off with our semicolon. All right. Now that would be our get name function. Now we need our set name function. All right, and we're saying for our function set name using the letter E right here. Open quotation. If E dot type, and we're having this to be a key press, and we say make, in our comment we're making sure to enter, make sure enter is press. So it's making sure that you press enter to basically move on. All right. So you're saying if E, referring to this E right here, which we're setting this E is equal to 13, and we're setting our E dot key code to be 13 as well. And following, we will make reference to our local storage dot set item, and we're setting our item to be name E, and we're targeting our dot inner text and followed by name dot blur. And you will see in that era when it is being displayed on your landing page, it have a little blur look to it. You will realize that as well. And moving on, we have our local storage that set, and we also setting our target to be our inner text as well. So please note, I know that these curly brackets and if they might be a whole lot, but I'm just going to create some space in between them so you can follow clearly. All right, so we are almost there. Similar to our get name and our set name, we also need to get our focus and we need to set our focus. And all this is making reference again back to what we did on our HTML page, making reference to all of those tags and so on. So for that one, for our function get focus, like you're seeing here, similar to the one above, but instead of name, we are using focus right here. And for the enter, we don't have enter name, we have enter focus. Just like what you see on our landing page, the output of it. And similar as well, we have our local storage get item, and we use the word focus right here. So when you move to the set focus, it will be similar to that of the set name, and we are still using the character E as well, still setting it to be keystroke, and still we're still having the if function, the if E dot which are using our 13 and our 13 here as well. But you will realize that we changed the name of it and use what? Focus instead of name. And the same thing for the else section as well. All right. So the almost to the final part of it, we're saying name dot add event listener. So you have to set a listener for all of these areas. And we're having for a key press set name, and we also have having so it's name, we're adding event listener to the name for both the key press set name and the blur set name. And the same thing for the focus, we're setting add event listener for the key press, and we're adding event listener for the blur as well. So all of that would take care of all the function and all the action that each function will carry out. Now, this right here is very important. Now you're seeing all the function here all by themselves. You're seeing your showtime function. You're seeing your set background and greeting function. You're seeing your get name function. and you're seeing your get focus function. Now bear in mind this section that deals with the get name and the get focus. All right, let's break it apart bit by bit. Where you see or we have our get focus function, every action that is take place inside of this function right here, when the function is called, at this point is where the function is called. The action is up there. However, when you call a particular function right here, all of those actions come to life. That's when they do something. So we're only using these right here to call the various function for them to be activated and to do something, or if they are supposed to check or compare something, it will. So for example, for our set focus, where we're having our if and all of that right here, when we call our function or get focus function right here, it is going to check if, and it's going to do all of these if function and else and so on to basically return something to you, return an output, return an action to you. All right. So that is how our functions operate. All right. So I'm trying not to make this tutorial be too long, but just for you to have a clear understanding of what is required of you, and basically having a bit more appreciation and understanding for JavaScript and what it can really do. Now, I just want to reinforce, I'm trying to keep this tutorial under half an hour. I just want to reinforce that you need to pay keen attention to all the various areas, all line, all symbols that is used in the coding. All right, you have to pay keen attention. So, and when I am finished with all of this, I would have saved this file as main.js. So the name of the file is main, and the file extension is .js. All right. So that is the reason why inside of our HTML document here, where I did point out this line before to say this is how I would have called all what I just went through in the JavaScript coding. That's how I call it to the HTML file right here. Because here you're seeing I have script and I have src equal to double quotation JS, and the JS, like I mentioned before, is the name of the folder that the actual JavaScript file is stored in, and the name of the JavaScript file is main. Good. It's main, and we save it at the extension of j.js. All right. So please remember that you need to practice this code. All right. If you are going to achieve um the desired output, you have to pay keen attention to each line. You have to pay attention to each line for you to get the desired result. I'm just trying to reload this page so you can see. I realize, as I mentioned, because it's afternoon, a picture depicting afternoon, and you're seeing good afternoon. That's what we were talking about. And we have for our focus area, and we have for our name section as well. All right, so do remember to practice, and you, if necessary, you can share this file with someone, and please remember to like and subscribe as well. So until then, have for yourself a great day.